Good morning and welcome to our Metro Board activities for May 15th, 2025. Start us off this morning, I'll ask Greg Kupka, Metro's Senior Director of Safety Risk Management, to provide today's safety context.
Thank you. I lead Metro's Office of Safety Risk Management. We ensure the organization proactively identifies, assesses, and mitigates safety risks while fostering a culture that empowers employees to contribute to a safe, secure, and reliable transit system. We take all safety reports seriously, whether submitted by employees or customers. These reports range from minor concerns like tripping hazards or broken fixtures to potential operational safety issues. Each report is thoroughly investigated, and we work alongside the appropriate departments to ensure timely resolution and follow-up. Safety is a shared responsibility. With increasing ridership, the role of our customers in maintaining a safe environment becomes even more critical. We urge our customers to report any unsafe condition they observe, whether it's a malfunctioning door, an obstruction on the platform, or any other concern. For non-security safety concerns, we encourage our riders to contact a customer service representative by calling 202-GO-METRO. They may also visit wamata.custhelp.com, or they may also inform a station manager if they're in the rail system. For security-related issues, please contact the Metropolitan Transit Police Department at 202-962-2121. You may also text your concern to MyMTPD. Working together, we can ensure a safer, stronger transit system for everyone. See something unsafe? Say something. Help us make it better. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So first up today is our Finance and Capital Committee. I am Matt Letourneau, Chair of the committee. Chair Santos cannot be with us today, so Alternate Director Worth is filling in. Welcome. Since this is our first meeting of the day, I will ask Ms. Ellison, the Board Corporate Secretary, to call the roll.
Chair Letourneau.
Here.
Vice Chair Klein.
Here.
Alternate Director Worth.
Here.
Director McAndrew.
Here.
Director Smedberg.
Present.
Director Martin Proctor. Good morning. Director Hadenlow.
Present.
Director Drummer.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Ellison. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. I'd like to move approval of the agenda as presented. Are there any objections by members of the committee to the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda is approved as presented. Next to the approval of the minutes, we have the minutes of our April 10th meeting before us for approval. Are there any objections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved as presented. We have one item on our agenda today, which is approval of to amend the budget with this final proposal before us today that represents a meaningful improvement over the previous versions. I'll turn the floor over to the team to walk us through the details.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Robert Tasillo. I'm the Senior Vice President for Management and Budget. Joining me is Liz Price, Vice President for Real Estate and Development. As you said, we're here to discuss board approval of the Tacoma Amended Joint Development Agreement. It's been a long time getting to this point. This is a major milestone for this project, and I will turn it over to Liz for her to provide more details.
Thank you. And thank you, Chair and board members, for this time. Joint development helps Metro advance one of our key strategic transformation plan goals, the Regional Opportunity and Partnership Goal, by leveraging our real estate assets for transit-oriented development that supports regional economic development and grows Metro's ridership and revenues. Today, we're here to talk about what has already been said several times, a project that's been in our portfolio for quite a long time, and we're excited to bring it forward today to bring it one step closer to the finish line. As has been stated, this project initially started in 2005 with board approval of a purchase and sale agreement to the developer EYA for a townhome development of 82 townhomes. We held our first compact hearing in 2006 that proposed reducing the parking on the site to 121 spaces. The board approved an amended joint development agreement in 2014, this time for a 200-unit apartment building. We held a second compact hearing to reduce parking further to 113 spaces. And then in 2021, the DC Council adopted the updated comprehensive plan, which increased the development potential of this site. As a result, Metro held a third compact hearing in 2023 and the board approved the mass transit plan amendment, which reduced parking to 16 kiss and ride spaces. In 2024, the District Zoning Commission approved EYA's planned unit development that we're here today to discuss. As a reminder, the current facilities on the site include a bus loop with 9 total bus bays and a parking facility of about 160 spaces. The proposed reconfiguration of the transit facilities would accommodate a total of 10 bus bays and reduce the kiss and ride to an on-street facility of 16 spaces. The amended and restated joint development agreement that is before the board today for approval proposes a development which will include 434 residential units with affordable units ranging from 15 to 25% of that total, 17,000 square feet of retail space, and a nearly 2-acre park. The developer will construct replacement transit facilities, including the bus loop, kiss and ride, a bus operator break room, and new bike facilities. The transaction is structured as a fee simple sale, and WMATA will fund the transit improvement costs through its land value. Today, we are seeking board approval of the second amended joint development agreement. With that approval, the developer will then advance design and financing over the next 18 months with a proposed closing in winter of 2026, with a proposed project delivery in 2029. With that, we seek board authorization for staff to execute the second amended and restated joint development agreement at Tacoma Metro Station with EYA.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will open it up for questions first from committee members. Are there questions? There are not. How about questions from board members? Mr. McAndrew, committee member.
I can't let this one go and not say thank you for years of lost ridership, revenue, and tax return on the investment that we make as a region. We are happy to see this one move forward. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, then can I get a motion? Well, actually, I will move approval of the motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Klein. Any further discussion? I'll ask the board corporate secretary to call the votes.
Chair Letourneau.
Aye.
Vice Chair Klein.
Aye.
Alternate Director Worth.
Aye.
Director McAndrew.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you very much. And with no further business to come before the committee, we stand adjourned, and I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Drummer to begin today's Safety and Operations Committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Letourneau, and welcome to the Safety and Operations Committee meeting. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. Are there any objections by members of the committee to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Now to approval of the minutes of our April 24th meeting. Are there any objections by members of the committee? Hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved as presented. We have one information item on today's agenda. It's the Better Bus Network redesign update. And it focuses on communications, outreach, engagement, and information platforms as we eagerly and rapidly approach the June 29th launch of the redesigned bus network. At this point, I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Tom Webster and Ms. Sarah Meyer for today's update. Maybe not.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Meyer, Chief Customer Officer here at WMATA. Really excited, Chair Drummer and members of the committee. Allison and I are excited to provide you with an update on the launch of the Better Bus Network. We are 45 days away from launching the network on June 29th, 2025. Starting a new bus network across the DMV is a huge effort that requires coordination across all parts of the Metro organization and with our jurisdictional partners. Today, we'll provide you with an update on activities surrounding the launch, with a deep dive on information available to our customers to help them plan their trips, and discussing our outreach plans to reach as many of our customers and potential customers as possible to let them know about the changes that are coming. Let me get this. The Better Bus Network redesign touches on all goals of the Strategic Transformation Plan and is one of the major initiatives that puts the transformation plan directly into action. We have 3 simple messages for our customers. Bus routes are changing. Yes, even yours. We have the information necessary to understand changes like trip planning, route profiles, and neighborhood profiles. And we will be out in the community to help people transition to the new network. Customers should approach the new network one trip at a time. Planning one trip at a time allows a bite-sized approach to the network. With all the changes, it is really important that you and customers make the new network that was cumbersome or infeasible in the old network. For example, today, a Deanwood resident in DC's Ward 7 would need to take 2 trains and a bus to reach Fort Lincoln, where the Costco and other retail is. In the new network, the C63 will provide a direct route from Deanwood to Fort Lincoln and all the way up to Washington Hospital Center. Now I'll turn the presentation over to my colleague, Allison Davis.
All right, thank you. And I'm glad to be back and talking about launching the network. We started the planning back in 2022, and it's really the culmination of where we've come from. So we heard from customers all over the region. This is really loud. And during the planning phase, we held about 225 different events, and we got over 21,000 comments, and we read every single one of them. And a lot of that information is what went into coming up with that final network. But because this network is built on existing resources, funding fleet operators, we really had to make some difficult trade-offs between, everyone wants a bus on their street. Most people want a bus on their street and, want their stop and all of that. And we had to really make some trade-offs. So, for example, in Arlington, the A70, now the equivalent 23 line goes into Shirlington. It goes from Ballston into Shirlington and over to Crystal City. Now it's going to stay primarily on Glebe Road from Ballston to Potomac Yard and really give that fast, frequent service between those branches of the orange silver and the yellow blue and really create that connection. That said, there are people who may want to get to Shirlington, and there is other service that gets people there. So it was really kind of trying to make those trade-offs. And undoubtedly, we will hear from the people who really wanted that route to go to Shirlington. And so I think we just want to keep that in mind as we go forward. Another example is the D70, which is going to be the L2 will be the D70 on Connecticut Avenue in the district, and that frequent line will go all the way from Chevy Chase Circle all the way down to downtown DC, not making that jog over to Adams Morgan, which is what it does today. And again, some people will have to transfer, but a lot of people are excited about having that direct frequent service straight to downtown. Oh, you got it. Thanks. So that the 2025 Better Bus Network is really aiming to improve service for most customers while creating those new connections. And I think one of the things we're most excited about, and hats off to colleagues in our scheduling and bus planning teams, but we were able to get about 7% more bus service using the same projected costs. And I think that's really a testament to a couple of different things, but it really comes from being able to look at the complete network as a whole and make a lot of those trade-offs. It also means that we're able to, I think of Sarah when we say this, but it is really reducing the deadhead costs, those non-revenue. When you see the bus, it says, no service because it's going back to start a new route. We're able to trim some of that service, some of that non-revenue service, and pour that into frequent, reliable service or new connections. So for example, the M22 provides new direct connection from Bethesda to Olney via Leisure World Aspen Hill. And today that trip requires a train to a bus or 2 buses with a transfer at Wheaton. So again, like trying to make those connections that people are really looking for. And with that, we're able to gain access, or average customers in the region are able to gain access to about 5% more key destinations. That's jobs, that's retail, that's their families, that's their friends within that 60 minutes. And we expect to get about 13,000 more daily weekday trips. Thanks. So last up for me before I turn it back to, oh, no, two more for me. Thanks. So we are renaming the entire network, right? Taking this opportunity, if we're putting new routes out there, if we're kind of taking a long route and cutting it into two, it was really that opportunity to rename the bus network. And so many of you are seeing signs out in the region. We're about halfway through putting up all the new bus flags. We've got new maps. Sarah's going to talk about all of that. But point being is that first, every route will start with a letter. That letter pertains to the jurisdiction it operates in. So A for Arlington and Alexandria, F for Fairfax County, cities of Falls Church and City of Fairfax. P for Prince George's County routes, and also Prince George's County Transit has renamed their routes too. So all routes in Prince George's County will start with a P. We've got the M routes in Montgomery County. And then in the district, we've got Crosstown, which will start with a C, and downtown directed routes will start with a D. So that's that first character. The second character is really trying to highlight either the neighborhood that it operates in or the main corridor. So for example, the 16th Street lines will be the D60 and the D6X, the X indicating that it is limited stop. The 70s will be on Connecticut Avenue. So it's really trying to highlight and give people an understanding of where the routes are serving. And then we've also got on the flags the indicator of the 24/7 and trying to make this larger with a destination, the destination on the flag as well. So as Sarah said, we are 45 days away, and many of us are losing sleep over that. But it's going to come. So we are the largest agency to have done this all at one time. Many of our peers have done this in chunks, either by division, by geography. But given the integrated nature of our system, we really felt that it was the way to go forward was to do it all at once. So from digital systems, bus stop flags, to training all of our operators, to all of everything in between, working with our jurisdictional partners. We've been at this actually since last fall to really get people going. And it's really been, I have to say, testament to Metro colleagues and our jurisdictional colleagues. Everyone has shown up and said, like, how can we help and what can we do more of? So again, I'm going to turn this over to Sarah, talk through some of the stuff that's yet to come.
Great. So the Better Bus website is live with a lot of helpful resources and information for our customers. First, customers can use our trip planner that's live on the website. As long as they hit the date June 29th or later, they will see the new routes and the new connections they might be able to take. We also, if you don't have specific address information, everybody's heard of what a huge fan I am of Costco. Don't know the Costco address, but I do know the routes that got me there in the past. So the fact that you can just use a crosswalk to determine which route you used to take. I'm an N4 rider, and I know I can type in N4. Now that tool will show me that I am now a D96 rider. So that's an easy tool if you don't want to get into the specifics of addresses. In addition, we have jurisdictional maps that show all the bus service available in the region. Those are the maps you see on the right. I'm not gonna, that's a lot of information to take in. Some of us will be very intimidated by these maps. I know that I have a lot of colleagues who are very excited by these maps. Customers definitely take in information differently. So we're creating a lot of information, whether they're be very, very robust or very, very simple, like our route handouts that just take that one simple route, give you a narrative description, translated into Spanish as well as the frequency, the connections that are available, and fare information, along with the frequency. So we're really encouraging our customers to read these pamphlets, which will be available on the buses in the coming weeks, and then use our real-time tools to be able to tell when exactly a bus is arriving. We never know if a bus is going to be held up by a motorcade or traffic, as we've talked about. And so we really want to engage and motivate customers to use digital tools to be able to find out when their bus is coming. So, the timetables of yesteryear, which we've distributed and certainly have had, see them a lot on the ground after people stopped using them. They had such tiny type and font. They were really hard to use. So we've created this new route profile that has really enlarged the font and made it better for customers to be able to engage with and learn from the material. We've also redesigned the maps that are at our various bus bays. So for example, at metro stations, we used to have these maps that were that said bus service from Foggy Bottom. This is just an example, GW. It was followed by a pretty robust and comprehensive list of schedule information and frequency information. And we've just redesigned it because we believed, right, that people, if they're at that particular point of view, they're really looking to see where the bus picks up. And that's the core information that customers are looking for at that moment. What's the intersection? We've done a lot of customer research on this and focus groups and found that this map and this type works much better. I've got some examples if anybody wants to take a closer look. They'll be up in the coming weeks as we start to recover our surface areas around bus information with more up-to-date information. And coming soon, we'll also have customizable print-at-home timetables that will only print out the information requested relevant to the 2 particular stops that you're interested in. And again, we are working a lot with libraries and our jurisdictional partners to be able to give people the resources to do this information at home or in their community centers or senior centers to be able to get this information. We also know as much as we put up signage in the stations and on the buses, we aren't going to reach everybody. From my experience in New York, executing bus redesigns, definitely was aware that, I thought we put signage everywhere. And I'll never forget that first morning on Staten Island, and folks just had no clue what was happening. And so we really focused on rearranging our approach to engagement and focused on our next bus redesign in the Bronx on focusing on in-person I don't like the word combat, but in-person interactions. So really focused on pop-ups, bus stop chats, ride-alongs, and making on-street assistance staff available. We have 260 events currently scheduled between now and the 29th. Those events will be live on our website next week, but they have been made available to our jurisdictional partners and elected officials. Those 260 events will also involve our Better Bus Partner Program. We now have 51 Better Bus partners signed up. Really excited about that. Those partners will be receiving stacks and stacks of brochures, a brochure rack so that they can put these information materials up, and really excited about it. We know that our voice needs to be amplified by many, many others. And we are doing what we can to provide training and information. We also have yard signs. We forgot to mention the yard signs. And so if anybody wants a yard sign to put up in their front yard or at their community center, please let us know. Happy to help us spread the word. Great, thanks. We're also using social media to tell us a better bus story. I I'm particularly cognizant of my fellow bus riders who have those giant headphones on and are looking at their screens watching funny videos. I'm going to try, and we're going to try, and my colleagues Christy and Whitney are going to try to also create videos that make people laugh with regards to the Better Bus Network. Stay tuned for that. We are also working on a Mythbusters campaign that's launching weekly with content that helps dispel some of those narratives we see on social media. I went down the Facebook rabbit hole 2 days ago to see really the misconceptions that are still out there. I saw, a couple people really focus on the fact that you could not plan your trip until June 29th. No, you can plan your trip now, just not until you have to click that date, June 29th or later. So really focused, really encourage all of you to share this social media on your networks and in your channels. It will take a region to let our customers know about the changes that are coming in 45 days. And we want to thank our colleagues, especially in customer experience, in planning, in transformation, in communications, in digital modernization, and in operations, who have all looked at our current materials with a new lens, thinking critically about font size and application, putting accessibility and access at the forefront of every decision, putting the GM's vision forward of a better customer experience, reducing duplication and noise, and focusing on what really matters. And it's been an honor today to present their work.
And so like I had said before, and Sarah noted, we've been working a lot with our jurisdictional partners, and that's a testament to many of you and your colleagues in the jurisdictions in the region. So that went, since the beginning of the planning, but it has really ramped up since we, got through adoption and have started to launch this. And so on behalf of Metro, I really want to thank our jurisdictional partners. Everyone has come to the table, asked how to help, and really looked to Sarah's point, not just at Metro, but within the jurisdictions, how can we be of service, figure out a path forward, and get what you guys need for June 29th. That said, there are things that may not be in place until through summer and into the fall, just based on resources and whatnot, but I did want to give everyone a shout out for that. So we've designed that new bus flag, as Sarah mentioned, and in Montgomery County and Prince George's County, there's actually going to be one bus flag. So where both we serve and either Ride On in Montgomery County or Prince George's County Transit in Prince George's County serve, there will just be one flag. And so that kind of helps get rid of some of that duplication and some of that noise that Sarah mentioned. And then we are really working both the maps that are over on the wall and then the bus bay maps in the stations will have all of the jurisdictional partners who serve those stations. So making sure that people get the comprehensive system experience, because we know people take different services to get where they're trying to go. And then finally, with all the new stops, new routes, we are working there are new removing parking, putting in new stops, removing stops, moving stop bars, all of that. And, that has been a big push, especially in the district, because a lot of those changes are happening. So example, DDOT is locating a stop bar on South Capitol Street to allow for a right turn. And so there is a process that we have worked through together. And again, just want to give them a high five for all that work. And so there are many other activities that we didn't catch, but the bus flags, as I said, we're about halfway done. The operator training, they've started that back in January, February, so even before the PIC had been complete. And so we are finishing some of that up as new people come on board. We are training them as well. The digital systems are, making sure the head signs are right, making sure that as the bus comes up to a new bus stop, it announces it, like getting all of that working and all of that testing. And then we're really working on that activation plan for the weekend of launch and the couple days afterwards. And I want to say that, even with all this preparation, right, there are things that this will not be 100% perfect. On day one, we will have buses go down the wrong street. We will have bus stops missed. We know that is happening, and we are looking to mitigate that. But just wanted to, we want to be upfront and honest that that is the experience that every other bus system has gone through. And honestly, whenever we make changes, we run into this anyway. So this is just on a much more magnified level. But we just want to acknowledge that there may be issues, and we are looking to mitigate that where we can. Turn that back over to Sarah for the last.
Great. So as Allison and I wrap up the presentation, we wanted to close with a really clear ask or to-do list for our customers and our partners. Again, please try out that trip planner, attend a pop-up event, use the crosswalk tool. Also, community organizations and elected officials, we need your help to spread the word to your constituents. Sign up to be a Better Bus partner and help. Or use our communications toolkit with newsletter and social media information to tell the story. Finally, we can also deliver printed materials directly to you. Send us an email, fill out the customer comment form on the website. We'll be listening, reaching out and responding, making sure everybody needs what they need. Everybody gets what they need. Look forward to seeing you on the bus system soon, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
So Sarah and Allison, thank you very much for another valuable update as one of a series that you've done over the last couple of years. This project is very complicated. You all have some tremendous poise and class in your approach to solving these challenges. And it's truly been a model in vision, in planning, programming, preparation, and now soon to be real execution on the ground. I believe from my heart that this will be a case study for many universities and colleges or schools of public affairs and public policy, just to take a look at the depth and quality of the work that's been done in this project. And a big shout out to Peter for his social media posts on LinkedIn, where he connected the dots and showed how we fit into the national landscape with regard to bus network redesigns. That was very enlightening, and it was pretty lengthy, but it really explained how we all fit into this magnificent way of doing business. A transformation from the inside out, and more importantly, doing it without increased costs. That was huge. So thank you for that. And without further comment from me, I'll ask board members, or excuse me, committee members if they have any comments. And I'll start with Ms. Martin Proctor.
Good morning, and thank you guys so much for this amazing presentation. I know that this has been the yeoman's work, getting us all here to this Better Bus redesign that is going to make transportation more accessible, more convenient, more straightforward, and you've done it at no cost. I just kind of want to keep repeating that, and we appreciate that as we move forward. I did have 2 comments and 1 question that I had. I love the fact that we are doing these pop-ups and that there's actually interpersonal engagement and, as you said, connection with people one-on-one with our in-live ambassadors, because we're very aware that there is a digital divide. So I want the community to know that, yes, we have a lot of digital products, but there's also going to be that interpersonal connection. And I was wondering if we could speak a little bit about that. I do think we will still have a customer service helpline.
Sure,
Yeah.
happy to talk through that. Yes, we will be, I think I mentioned there are now 260 events. My colleague behind me, Erica Cunningham, the VP of Community Relations, and her team have been hard at work over the last several months scheduling these events, working with farmers markets and shopping centers, as well as senior centers and libraries, and they're going to be putting out tables at high transfer locations where we're sure to reach as many people as possible through personal interaction. Our staff will be either in red polos, really easy to see, or in Better Bus jerseys, because we're all part of one team.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Just for clarification, I know that we had discussed this, but for the good of the community, we are also working on some training videos so that people can learn how to also work our new, more effective, more efficient app. So if we could
Yes.
take a little bit on that. Yeah.
Yes, we are working through training videos for the current trip planner. And my colleagues in digital modernization will have some updates in the coming weeks on new and better tools.
Excellent. So anybody that's concerned about being able to access this information and learning how to work the trip out in that format, it is coming, and it will be completely accessible along with closed captioning in that sense. My last question really is, with the various pop-ups that you've had, can you tell us just a little bit about some of the feedback that you've gotten from the community with regards to how they feel this is going to make their lives just a little bit easier?
Just a clarification, do you mean the pop-ups we had as part of the planning?
Correct.
Yes, okay. So, and we can talk through specific routes, you know, and if you have specific questions about that. But a lot of the comments we got, so we got a lot that, you know, want more, right? More frequency, more connections, right? So that's great. And we've got that visionary network that as resources become available, we have that to draw from. We did get, and I would have to go back to the November presentation, but of all the comments that we got last year when we were out in the spring, we modified about 50% of the routes based on those comments, right? That said, for the example I gave of the D70, which is the new name of the L2 on Connecticut Avenue, there were plenty of people who wanted that jog into Adams Morgan and like what it does today, as much as there were people who wanted to go straight down Connecticut Avenue. And so you have competing requests, right? So the people who wanted to jog over to Adams Morgan are going to be disappointed because it's not, right? It's going to stay on Connecticut Avenue. And so it's that kind of trade-off that we had to make. Not everyone can be happy with where we ended up, but hopefully we feel that the network is better based on all of those comments we got and the feedback that we had. But yes, we couldn't make everyone happy through those unless we had unlimited resources, but that is not the case.
No, absolutely. And I know that we definitely have put in everybody's comments and tried to make sure that we created a holistic look with regards to the best mode of transportation with regards to building this better bus network. I might want to drill down a little bit more, and this might be for further information with regards to our students. And I know that this is actually the perfect time to do it because we will have the whole summer to make sure that we have our bus routes ready for September, making sure that everybody can get to their appropriate school locations and sense. Do we have any directed feedback with regards to that?
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to share what we are doing with our schools. Outreach actually begins today. We will be presenting at the MTPD Youth Advisory Council, which takes place in this room, about 50 students from all across DC public, charter, parochial, et cetera schools. So they will have information and they can be ambassadors of the message for their school. A member of my team is also presenting tonight to the DC Public Schools. I probably am getting the name wrong, but it's principals, parents, and students will be there this evening at 6 o'clock. About 70 people will be tabling there, also having information about the network, where we're going to be this summer. To share information. So we also are having our Metro message on the 28th, but we're also doing a special message just for schools to help them understand. And we know some of them might not need this information to get to students until August when they're returning, but we have some very targeted approaches with how we're going to make sure that they get the information. We're also talking to Department of Employment Services with the Mayor Summer Youth Program, making sure that students that will be using public transportation to get to their summer youth jobs are also aware of those changes. So we have a plan for schools, and we will share that in more detail in our biweekly board memos to you all.
This makes me very, very happy. Thank you so much. And as a proud member of, the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program, yes, excellent. And as a proud DCPS graduate, wonderful. It's where my kids are in school right now. So I did want to, just for the room and for the community, if we could just say what our Community Youth Advisory Council is here, CYA, yes.
Yes, it's a monthly opportunity for students, primarily in Washington DC, to come out and engage with the MTPD and other organizations and teams in Metro to get information, safety messaging, so dangers of train surfing, information on Kids Ride Free. We use this to share information from the conversion from the plastic card to digital. So we just share, it's a pipeline to potential career pathways. So we share a lot of information with the schools, and I am working with Shonda Lewis with MTPD to look at how we can kind of model this for Maryland and Virginia as well. Maybe not on a monthly basis, more quarterly, but we are looking at expanding that reach because we know touching our youth is very important.
Thank you so much. And we invite all of our DCPS students to come and join us for this amazing committee and opportunity to meet not just with MPT, but with the board members and the various officials and individuals that work with WMATA and Metro. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Smedberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Allison and or Sarah, the routes that have received the most comments or we feel logistically are going to see the most change, are we doing anything different other than what you've outlined here before us today? Are there a certain number of routes that you're going to pay extra attention to or have people on the ground?
Sure, yes. There are actually, we were talking about this in a meeting this week. There are two different lists, right? There's the community outreach list of events and key targets and where we want to be, but there's also the operations list of where we think need more attention in terms of making sure the bus operators are making the right turns. They could be used to a turn that they've been taking for 15 years and all of a sudden the turn is different. So working with Brian and Leroy and making sure we have bus supervisors on that corner to make sure that bus operator makes that right turn is another list of events that are currently, of not events, but of shifts that are currently underway.
Great, thank you.
I'll also add to that we are doing ride-alongs, right? So we have the pop-ups where we will be, either piggybacking on other events that are happening, movie nights, open streets, that sort of thing. But we know the really high change routes. And we also know that where riders may not get the information that we're putting out. So we are going to actually put people on board the bus and ride the bus from the origin all the way to the terminus and back again. And those are shifts that will have people out, and they will be multilingual as well. So that gets the information into actual customers on board the bus, and those are a lot of those high change routes that we had identified. Great. We'd done that throughout the planning phase as well, and it was really successful.
And last, do either of you want to recognize, I know the chair recognized Peter, but I know there are other people in the room who are doing the day-to-day, really, doing the hard work. Not that you aren't, but you understand what I mean, yeah.
Literally, I think everyone could stand up. Mike Burke over here is leading kind of the whole program of figuring out all the different elements that are underway and making sure everyone's kind of moving together and deconflicting things. We've got Whitney doing social media with Christy. I'm trying to see who else's heads are in the back.
Teddy Krolik is
here.
Al,
we got Al behind me. Al Himes, our director of bus planning and scheduling, and his team have been amazing at getting this to the level that we can actually train the bus operators and get the schedule out on the street.
Of course, Gupper.
Oh, and thank you. All the government relations team, the media team, the jurisdictional partners, pretty much everyone behind us could stand up and give a round of applause for the work that's happening. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Dr. Lowe?
Thanks, Chair. This is the first time hearing that we're going to do social media videos, and I just think that's such a good idea. Honestly, like we can make PDFs and set up websites and put up little tents as much as we want, but everyone is looking at Instagram. We don't have a digital divide there. I would encourage the team to just keep it really simple with the videos. Not even like the myth busting is cute, and I get why we want to do that. I'm not saying don't do that, but like really simple stuff like we are changing the names of all of the bus lines, you know, like because people are just now realizing it's become clear to me that the vast majority of people only just found out about this because I can no longer go out in public because everyone wants to talk to me about their bus stop. And they found out when the signs went up on the bus stops being like, we're getting rid of this one. So we still have like just like super baseline stuff to do. And I think quick, short Instagram reel type videos could be really impactful. Are we going to do anything in terms of push notifications in Transit, the third-party app?
That is in progress. We've been talking to a number of the third-party applications and especially Google, Apple, the Transit app, Waymap. We were speaking to them last week to make sure that they not only had the upcoming bus information, but the upcoming rail service changes, which are pretty, significant with the Silver Line now having 2 terminals.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's a lot of data changing the last week of June. Obviously, we cannot directly control how those applications take in our data, but we will be very actively monitoring and using all of our connections to try to get these issues resolved. We have one route, the C11, which exists now and will exist in the future. That is a completely different route, right? That's an example.
It's a different C11, yeah.
It's a different C11. That's an example of an anomaly, right, in the data. And we don't want customers who are trying to locate their bus today to be at all negatively impacted by what's happening post June 29th. So it's a complicated dance, which is why, the majority of the third-party applications will not show new data until the new bus network is launched, which is why that trip planner, an oldie, but I call it an oldie but a goodie because it really doesn't rely on the real-time feeds as much as our new Open Trip Planner will.
100%. That said, I think I'm really relieved to hear that we're being proactive about trying to make sure that all the third-party apps are live on July 1st, because I think that's honestly like the number, like when people wake up in the new reality, actually that's when they're ready for the information and not so much beforehand, I think. Though I am thrilled for me that I'm going to be out of town when this transition happens and that I can ease into it when I get back. I think that a lot of the brunt of like the shock that people are going to feel on July 1st is going to fall on the operators. They have to drive the new routes, which is already a lot, and they're going to have to deal with everyone at the bus stop who's like, what is this? I'm looking for the 33, like it's actually all just going to end up falling on them. Are we going to have I think we got to make it super easy for them to a QR code they can point to, a pamphlet they can point to, so that they can not be having all those conversations to the greatest extent possible. Will we have something that's an operator side resource that they can be move on, the information is here?
So there will be large signs in the bus itself that operators can point to.
Great.
I also know that we've been working with Leroy and Jewel on an FAQ. We are also working through a pep rally type event at each depot, making sure that operators have the information they need. We all know distribution to field level staff is just always a hard thing. So just putting all the materials at one table a day or two before the network goes live with some balloons and some pom-poms will go a long way. So yes, you're right. The bus operators have a really challenging job over the next several weeks, and we'll be out there giving them as much support as possible.
That's great.
Board member, maybe I'll just add a comment in if I can on that. So for us at the organization, this is an organizational-wide activity.
Truly.
And yes, our bus operators and bus supervisors and controllers will get a majority of that, but we will have a lot of people in this building out on the system. I'll be out Friday morning on the system. I'm looking at Brian Dwyer as our COO. The entire management team has been told you are out in the field for multiple days. So for us here at Metro, this is like much bigger than, say, since I've been here, like probably the biggest thing was launching the Silver Line. This in our mind is way bigger than that, much more significant. And so you're going to see the entire organization flexed into this. I think Allison's correct, and we're trying to be very transparent. There's going to be random little issues here and there. There might be some scheduling run cuts that are not well done because there's so many changes, and those will get caught up in December. But we are going to flex very hard leading up to this and over the period of time after this. Then we'll do that second round really focused on schools as we move towards the end of summer, because that's a different customer base. So I think, the average bus customer, quite frankly, they're going to know this really quickly, and they're out of sight, out of mind. So overwhelming majority of bus customers going to figure if there's change, how it works for them, they're good. It's the infrequent customers that we are going to have to be really leaning into, and summer is a nice way for us to do that. We also have our Metro Pulse tool that is, I got an update that's coming really soon as well. That's another lean-in tool. So I just wanted to be reassured the board. We are looking at this isn't just a bus operations, hope it goes well kind of thing. This is all of us that are going to be in. And I would welcome anyone on the board that would like to put on a vest and come out and interact with customers. We would really appreciate, as many bodies out there. And especially, I think it's really important for board members, senior staff to show the customers and show our frontline staff that we're supporting. So if there's days that you're available, and it doesn't have to be the day of our launch, it could be a couple days after, it could be a couple days before, 2 weeks after, and come to a terminal, you just let us know. We'd love to have you out there.
No, Randy, I really do appreciate that, because I do agree with what you're saying, that for our frequent bus riders, this might just be a little bit of a blip, but for those that are in part of the digital divide, my silvers and my seasoned citizens aren't going to be looking at Instagram so much, nor are my accessibility community. Instagram might not be the best place to have that. So knowing that that is an option and that it's open and that we're going to be there in person to really help with this transition.
A lot of in-person. And that's what Erica, as our Vice President of Community Engagement. So I talked to a group of seniors last night at an event that two had a complaint of. One was very complimentary of the bus network. And that's kind of how this stuff works, right? Like, my stop is moving, but hey, this stop moving is actually way better for me. So she's leaning in with a lot of our partners on that. We have, seniors is a good example of a bus network that's a lot of midday activity that is not normal rush hour stuff. And so we want to do extra work of those kind of groups, our partners around the region. That's why we're really asking our elected officials. Elected officials have reach into newsletters and things of that nature that those types of individuals actually pay more attention to. So we need all of our regional elected officials and partners to lean in on this, and many have, and we really appreciate, I've seen branded, a delegate in Maryland branded their region on the changes related to them, which I thought was a great kind of piece for them and how it brought things together. So anyone that that doesn't feel they have enough information, we want to do more of that. So thank you.
Especially to our ANC commissioners as well.
Yes, there was a big meeting here on Saturday. Yeah. So
It was at St. Coletta's, but I thought it was a productive meeting.
Yeah. Sorry, in DC.
And the staff did a great job. I do just want to acknowledge that this has my full support. I understand how important this is and the benefits to the benefits to Metro, the benefits to the region, the benefits to our customer base as a whole. I know that I had to go on a little emotional journey with this myself, just because I happen to live in a location that by some measures will have less bus service, because other locations where I have also lived in the past will have more service because there's demand for it. And it's hard to realize that like a bus line that you've ridden for 40 years, or the bus stop that you used to go to school when you were a kid is going to change. That's just like epic to wrap your head around. Like it feels like the ground moving underneath your feet. But I have been getting messages from people all over the city who are like discovering the new routes that they're going to get. They're going to make bus service better than ever for them. And that feels really good. So I'm really glad that this is happening. It's finally here.
Are you good? Thank you. Ms. Klein?
Thank you, Mr. Drummer. Listening to Dr. Lowe, I'm just reminded of when we were all sitting, I think, back there at the time when this Better Bus Network launched. And I remember saying I was excited, thrilled maybe. I don't remember, we were kind of all trading these adjectives. Although I think, Dr. Lowe, I think at the time you were a little more cautious. I hope that you're feeling more excited now, that the journey has led to some really excited feelings. I feel just as excited now as I did then. I think it's amazing that we are here at this point, at the culmination of this project. Well, the culmination is almost the culmination of this project. So I do want to just add my congratulations and commend everyone who's worked on this. It is an enormous lift to do a redesign, and we are setting an example. I think Mr. Drummer said will be a case study, and I think a really positive one. I just have one question. We have the region's attention on bus in a way that we haven't for a while. One of the other initiatives we launched a little before, I think we launched this one, was the new MetroLift low-income fare program. We did a lot of initial outreach. We got a good uptake, but I feel like the uptake among people who could be eligible for the reduced fares under that program, I do not believe that everyone is taking advantage of that who could. Is there a way to incorporate some further outreach or education about the availability of MetroLift now that we have the attention of the entire bus riding community, or at least we're seeking that attention?
It's a great point, Director Klein, and we have definitely incorporated the MetroLift messaging in our print materials. We also are redesigning the print materials that are in the interior of the bus that will also have a direction to MetroLift. There is, as we all know, a larger conversation around bus fare evasion and MetroLift and the program, and we want to acknowledge that first and foremost, we're really focused on getting the new route information out, but we'll then, and that the MetroLift information is always secondary during this transition period, but we will do more surges, especially during back to school moments, to promote MetroLift. My colleagues who are in Treasury also are continuing to do tabling events at senior centers, at places where SNAP recipients receive services to continue getting people signed up.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, we're going to have people all over the system, Metro people all over the system, talking about what new routes look like, and I just think it would be really phenomenal for them to be also promoting the availability of this fare program. So thank you.
Sounds great, and I'll make sure that Erica, at all of our 260 pop-up events over the next month, we'll have MetroLift brochures with them. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll close with just one question or one comment, give you an opportunity. I'm sorry. Oh, Ms. Worth, thank you.
I'll make this brief. I just want to say thank you too. Thank you for all the hard work working with the district, both of you, to Peter, to Al, to Ann. Thank you. Allison, all the phone calls and conversations, and your nimbleness and openness to suggestions. We really appreciate it. Glad to see this communications plan and all the work and partnership. So thank you for that. And I look forward to being out there on lunch day.
Thank you. Mr. McAndrew.
I'll echo the sentiments of the team. Hats off. Exciting day. Improving the bus and the bus system. It's the workhorse of the system and will continue to be. and spending time and investing our time, energy, and resource towards it is important. Two items. Thank you for raising the need for partners to lean in and be ambassadors. I believe Maryland Department of Transportation has recently signed up, which is great. Second, and this is wild to say this today, but the discussion about case studies warrants it. And we have a very, very important 40 some odd days ahead of us. But I think as we look at launch, it would be important for us to also have a sense of what are our standards that we're going to measure success against, and how you guys plan to report back on that front. And the kind of near, medium, and longer term as the changes set in, and progress is made, I think, we're optimistic that this will be well received and folks will enjoy. But I think, understanding what our success factors look like and ultimately the report out would be good as well. So if there's an update we could get before the 29th on that front, it'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to piggyback off of that and state that we have had lessons learned throughout this process over the last couple of years, and we will have lessons learned as we execute this mission. My question is, can you help us understand how we're organized to capture those lessons learned and pivot, sometimes in real time and sometimes over time throughout this process?
Thank you, Director Drummer. This gives me a really good opportunity because I missed thanking one team earlier, which is the call center located in New Carrollton, led by Darby Dickerson. She has been really at the forefront of making the trip planner work and dealing with increased call volume using the same resources that she has. And she has a good system working with Jordan Holt to measure our complaint data and measure the inquiries that come in to be able to respond and categorize them appropriately so that we have good metrics moving forward. I do want to recognize, just after the bus redesigns I was familiar with in New York, is that the first couple weeks, to what Board Member Lowe spoke to, our bus operators are going to be engaged in a lot of conversations, and it is going to cause the schedules not to fully sing yet. So I do want to mention the first couple weeks will be rocky, and we will have a number of increased complaints and increased numbers, but we will see that come down, and we'll make sure we see that come down, and we'll be measuring the rate of that decrease as well.
Thank you. Thank you again. As we can see, transformation in Metro is real, and this is a clear example of it. Thank you for the work that's being done here. And at this point, we'll close.
Paul Smedberg, First Vice Chair of the WMATA Board. Thank you for being here today. We'll begin with the approval of the agenda. I'd like to consider the agenda approved as presented. Does anyone have any objections to that? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Thank you. Now we have two sets of minutes for approval: the April 24th, 2025 board meeting and the April 24th, 2025 executive session. I'd like to consider these sets of minutes approved as presented. Does anyone have any objections, comments on either set of minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. There is no employee spotlight today, so we'll move right into the public comment and reports by our advisory boards. We received one public comment in advance, so I'll ask staff to play that now.
Hi, this is Ethan Abelman from DC. I'd like to comment on Metrobus all-door boarding, fare evasion, and social norms. Last month, the general manager cited bus fare evasion as an obstacle to moving forward with a wider implementation of all-door boarding, but he did not explicitly connect the dots. So it's worth considering, I think, whether the two issues are actually connected. In theory, it does make some sense that people are probably more likely to pay when they're boarding in close proximity to the operator. And in some other cities where evasion isn't the norm, that would likely be the case. The problem for Metrobus, at least on the routes I regularly use in DC, is that evasion is the norm. and Metrobus operators, separated from passengers by plexiglass, are directed not to intervene. To be clear, I support this policy. Operator safety is important. But if the presence of the operator isn't deterring fare evasion now, would things really be any different at the back door? I believe that if all-door boarding is implemented well, those who currently pay at the front will continue to pay at the back, and those who currently evade will continue to evade. Now, look, I don't want to downplay the issue of fare evasion. It's a big problem that WMATA needs solutions for. I know there are efforts underway to increase enforcement at terminals and busy stops, but in the face of long odds, I implore WMATA not to sacrifice an extremely positive rider initiative because of a dubious perception that it encourages evasion. If you want people to pay their fare, be it at the front door or the back door, you need to reestablish it as the social norm. That's a difficult task, but which door passengers use to board shouldn't have anything to do with it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now I'll turn the floor over. We have one person. Here who has signed up to speak. Mr. Orleans. Right there.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
This morning, I didn't wake up until 6:30, 6:45. I had to race to my local bike to work stop to be certain that I was going to be availing myself of breakfast. Unfortunately, this year, the local provider of coffee chose not to participate in this year, so I had no coffee. I raced to College Park Station thinking I would get coffee there, but the race was impeded by the fact that I had to wait 40 minutes for the C2 to get to College Park Station, since I'm not quite prepared to bike all that way. Unfortunately, I got there just after 8:30, and they were out of coffee. So the first thing I want to whine about today is something that I've been meaning to whine about for some time. This is my opportunity. In the good old days at Jackson Graham, if one had to race down to the Metro board meeting without having had breakfast and even coffee, at least there was a coffee pot outside the boardroom. I've never understood why that practice has not continued with this new setting. I'd like to suggest that the board should agree that it would be a good idea to return the coffee pot to the dates of board meetings. I very much appreciate Ms. Allison Davis saying that on day one, it will not be 100% perfect, the bus redesign. I suspect on day 2 and day 20 and day 30, and we shouldn't have to wait to the December cut to make the necessary changes that should be made with all the problems that many riders are going to be having over the course of this period of time between June 29th and December. I hope there is some planning, some consideration for making changes without having to wait till the December cut to pick and whatnot, all that stuff, which is very important. But some scheduling changes should be, there should be consideration of making some scheduling changes, including bus stop locations between June 29th and December. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Now we'll hear from our Accessibility Advisory Committee Chair, Patrick Sheehan. Patrick, good morning.
And the mic is where. Thank you very much for allowing me to present to you this morning. As you can imagine, we are very much in tune with the Better Bus Network. We received a report a couple of days ago at one of our subcommittees. And I think in general, the disability community is pleased with the outreach that's happened so far. I would indicate that, and we want to ensure that when we publish any of the materials, that including videos, that they're going to be made accessible, which would include audio description if necessary, and closed captioning so that we can reach that population. Disability community was a little concerned about which bus stops would be closed. Would they be able to talk to individuals concerning what was going on because they may not have the same access to information when they're out on the street. I think the reports that we have received indicate that with the pop-ups, the individuals will be on the street answering questions and being able to approach people with disabilities. I think we've assuaged a lot of that potential problems. I want to offer, if we do miss anything on the communication front, particularly on the information front, where there are issues that come up, I do have members of my committee that are experts in these areas. So turn to us, use us if you've got questions, if concerns come up. If we can help to answer those concerns, that's what we're here for. So I think we're in good shape with Better Bus Network. I appreciate that. On the Prince George's County front, we received a report earlier this month that has been more information from Prince George's County on what they're going to be doing, more specific information on what the transit vision plan looks like. Don, thank you so much for all your efforts. We will be getting towards the end of the month a schedule of what's going to be done first. And I think one of the areas that we're most interested in is in the infrastructure, the building of sidewalks, the building of shelters for bus stops, and on all of that. So we look forward to helping to implement that Vision Transit Plan. Appreciate the board's support on that, the fact that you've asked the questions and helped us to move that along. I think that's going to work well. Plus the interface with Better Bus Network in Prince George's County. So I think we have a lot of work ahead, but I think we've got the cooperation of the key people. A couple of other areas that we've worked on. One is in the area of signage, because this board was so effective in giving us the people that we wanted for the AAC. We're able to have a couple of really smart, low vision people that have worked on the signage directly with Sarah Myers and made some good recommendations with respect to that. Lastly, I spoke to the committee and they understand that moving forward, the best way to move forward and increase capacity on the within the system is going to be through the bus network. So we are going to be looking at a couple areas either in July or particularly in September that we want to focus on, one being bus prioritization and bus rapid transit. I understand that those are efforts moving forward. There's going to be some subcommittees working in those areas of wayfinding and bus prioritization. Members of my committee have agreed that they would like to step up and be part of that effort moving forward. We understand that's long-term. We need to get through Better Bus Network at the end of June. But those are the things that we are focused on, and we look forward to helping to implement those improvements over the summer and, of course, in the fall and beyond that time. Questions for me?
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Any questions for Mr. Sheehan? Comments? There are none, Patrick.
We good?
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate
As
it.
always, yeah. Now we'll call on Mr. Cole Stout, Chair of the RAC, for his report. And Mr. Stout, I think, is joining us virtually, John.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to join you all virtually this morning. This month, the RAC, we mostly focused on Better Bus implementation, just as the board has been focusing on that this morning. How we can better communicate to riders of all backgrounds across the system, and we're really pleased with what staff is doing, and Allison and team are doing a great job. And we'll continue working on that in the months ahead, and as we do the rollout into the summer and fall. Looking ahead to the next couple of months here, looking to bring staff in to talk about the rail changes coming up this summer and communications plan around that, particularly around the splitting of the Silver Line. A small ATO update, similar to what the board got last month, and do some of the community-based training for Better Bus, so that our RAC members can go out and talk to members of their community and groups that they're connected with, so we can better connect with riders and spread the news of the new and better system. But that is it for my report this morning.
Thank you, Cole. Any questions for Cole? Comments? All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Now we'll turn to the chair's report. First, we have some administrative business before us, appointments to the Accessibility Advisory Committee, or AAC, and the Metro Transit Police Department's Investigations Review Panel, or IRP. The purpose of WMATA's Accessibility Advisory Committee is to provide guidance and recommendations to the board on issues that affect people with disabilities and older adults in the transit system. The AAC plays a critical role in making the Metro system more inclusive, safe, and effective for all users, particularly those with mobility, sensory, or cognitive disabilities. I'd like to move approval of the following ACC appointments. Philippa Mizil as a member of the ACC from the District of Columbia with a term to expire June 30, 2029. Paul Simmelfort as a member of the AAC from the state of Maryland with the term to expire June 30, 2029. Swatha Kumar is a member of the ACC committee from the Commonwealth of Virginia with a term to expire June 30th, 2029. Sarah Baumaster is a member of the ACC from the Commonwealth of Virginia with a term to expire on June 30, 2029. Marcy Goldstein as a member of the ACC from the Commonwealth of Virginia with a term to expire June 30th, 2029. And finally, Kelly Simonu as a member of the ACC from the Commonwealth of Virginia with a term to expire June 30, 2029. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Letourneau. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. And now to the IRP appointment. As noted last month, the IRP reviews completed MTPD investigations and submits recommendation on charges to policy and training to the Chief of Police. The aim is to continually improve the integrity of the MTPD investigations and the thoroughness and fairness of the investigative process. We are appointing one at-large position today. I'd like to move the following IRP appointment for approval. Michelle Tuggle with the term to expire on April 30th, 2027. Can I get a second? Seconded by Mr. Letourneau. Joe, Mr. McAndrew, sorry.
Some guy.
Some guy over some guy on the left. Matt on the left. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next, I want to recognize that May is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, a time to recognize and celebrate the rich history, culture, and contributions of the AAPI communities across the United States. It's also an opportunity to reflect on diverse experiences, traditions, and voices that help shape the fabric of our nation. The AAPI community encompasses more than 50 ethnic groups and speaks over 100 languages from East Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and the Pacific Islands, each with its own unique customs, cuisines, faiths, and cultural practices. AAPI communities have shaped American history, from building the Transcontinental Railroad and serving in the U.S. military to advancing science, medicine, politics, and the arts. Today, members of the AAPI community lead across industries, including business, government, technology, entertainment, education, and activism, helping to shape a more inclusive and innovative future. The contributions of the AAPI people have left a lasting impact on the development of the United States, and this month we honored the celebration, and this month we honor and celebrate those achievements. And finally, I'd like to note that we have one public board day next month. It's June 26th, and that concludes my report. Now I'll turn the floor over to our GM for his report, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A few things to give the board and the public an update with today. First, I want to highlight from our talented teams. Last week, we had our first graduating class of our inaugural MTPD Academy. Board Member Lowe was with us here, and I thank you for attending. This is a really big deal for our organization. So one, it's our kind of never-ending focus on safety and security.
But the fact that we have our own academy now, as the board is aware, we were able to save about $1 million bringing the academy in-house. But it also allows us to run 3 classes a year instead of 2, which is, I think, for the first time going to let us really try to get to the staffing level that we want here on the police department. So we were able to kind of work through our training program a little differently, still qualified in all 3 jurisdictions. And we had 22 officers sworn in and now on active duty. Our next class starts next week. I think it's about 15 recruits in the next class. We also want to highlight our sign-on bonus of $20,000 for police officers. The entire region is looking for police officers. It's a little bit better than it was, but still very challenging to hire law enforcement, I think, quite frankly, across the whole country and in this region as a high cost of living region. So we're going to put another big push on to really get our academy fully staffed at every recruit class. Next up, also on talented teams, I want to highlight, we had a very successful, Sherry Dickerson and her team put together a really successful hiring event. We know that there's some challenges right now, I think, in our region related to federal employees, federal contractors. There's a lot of talent out in our region right now, especially on things that we do here. So it worked out really well. Our next one is going to be, as the dates, there we go, thank you. So we're looking, new positions are being posted. We're going to be looking for applications by May 20th. And at the end of this month, we have another hiring fair, and it's really going to be focused around kind of digital technology. We have some pretty significant needs in accounting and human resources as well. So we know that there's, again, talent out there, and we're looking forward to people wanting to come and join our already fantastic Metro team. Our next slide is focused on Tap, Ride, and Go. I know everyone is dying for me to give an announcement on a specific date. Trust me, I am as well. But we said we would. The goal was to have this done at the end of May, and we believe we're still on schedule for that. I know it's middle May, and you might say, well, why can't you say a date? It's because we're in testing. So testing is now live at a variety of stations. Mr. Webster is probably the most nervous on this process because he has been kind of not sleeping for a while on it. But between him, Judd, Sarah, and all their teams, Greg Garbach, people working very hard. All of our vendors are doing really, really great job on this. But I know Tom, for instance, tapped his credit card going into a station this morning. So we are actually in live testing out on the system. An announcement coming very soon on that. So we're very excited about that. Next up.
Need any board members to help with testing? I'm available.
After this meeting, we will sign you up. Yes. Thank you. Next up is, nope. There we go. Automatic train operation. As the board is aware, we unfortunately are not on automatic train operation on the green and yellow lines as we would hope to have by this date. Right now, we've been denied approval by the WMSC to move forward on the green and yellow lines. We are fully trained and 100% ready to go. We have provided a response to their last email on May 5th. I think it's very clear. We all know everything from our third-party independent peer review to all the work. We've talked very transparently at this board meeting for over 2.5 years on this topic. ATO is definitely the safest mode of operating and eliminates multiple types of human factor error. Human factor error, obviously with such a large workforce, is our #1 challenge. Doesn't mean we don't have great employees, but humans by nature have certain challenges. So ATO is definitely the safest mode of operation, and the red line proves that. So on the red line, we've actually had 0 red signal violations since we've been on ATO in December. That is clearly the most important safety issue that we are concerned with. That is a real safety issue. And we've had none on the red line. ATO is working as has been intended. Want to highlight that the station overruns has, I think, turned into a whole topic unto itself. Reiterate that I want to be really clear too. We take safety our station overruns serious, and I don't want anyone, the public or the board, not to think that we're not trying to be at 100% on station parking. But there's a big difference between reliability and safety, and that's what we're trying to make sure that there's clarity and transparency on. So we are working incredibly hard to be 100% on station stopping. In April, we were at 99.99%. So we had, I think, about 30, I think, is the number of station stopping, not perfect alignment on the red line out of over 213,000 stops. So the chances of anyone in the public actually not experiencing that are incredibly low. But it is a reliability issue because we moved to the next station, and therefore a customer has to actually reverse on the line and go back to where they were trying to go. So again, we do believe this is an operating challenge that we want to get to 100%. I'm not sure we're ever going to, quite frankly, be better than 99.99, but I want to make sure everyone realizes that we are taking that part serious, but it is not a safety issue. And it's not a safety issue by anyone in the transit industry. It's not considered a safety issue in the National Transit Database. So we are ready to go, and we're looking forward to getting concurrence from the WMSC. And I just wanted to highlight the incredible work this team is doing to try to move this forward, because this is definitely a benefit to both our customers and the safety of our staff. And then lastly, I want to highlight, I'd like to say there's a bunch of upcoming events, but it's really been nonstop events the whole year. But some big ones coming up are World Pride. We're just around the corner from World Pride, and we expect very large crowds in this region. We're also hosting a variety of FIFA qualifiers this late spring into summer. July 4th is always a gigantic day for us here at Metro. This year added board member Letourneau will like this. The Red Sox are in town, which is the big draw at Nats Park every year, and Beyonce's in town on July 4th as well. So if you're not on Metro on July 4th, you might want to leave town, because it's going to be very, very busy. But we are prepared. There's also talk about a parade for the Army. We're not quite sure what the details really are of that, but as that comes together, we'll be prepared to assist our region on that as well. I want to highlight the schedule that we are putting together for World Pride weekend. Went to what we're going to do in July anyway with the new service the board approved, but with our crowding, just from a safety and efficiency of getting people around. What's not on this slide I want to highlight, and will be in our public communication, is we're also going to be extending the yellow line to Greenbelt on Saturday and Sunday. We did that last year for the parade, but we're doing it for the whole weekend. It's the only way, quite frankly, we can manage the crowds. Last year, U Street Station was our busiest day ever at U Street. We expect very, very large crowds this year. So that'll give us a 4-minute headway between LaFont and all the way up. That is a lot of service that we'll be running, and we have no construction that whole weekend as well either. So I want everyone to know we'll be prepared. Obviously, there will be significant bus impacts. That's still being finalized, but as those come together, we'll be getting very, very good public communication out and through all of our channels and all of our partners on impacts to bus as well. So again, we really look forward to the staff being ready to, our theme for this is we're proud to welcome the world. And that's what I think, Metro, again, we want to move everyone for every type of event, and this is another big one for us to move. So with that, board, happy to take any questions or comments.
Okay, Mr. Letourneau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Clark, so I know we're having an ongoing dialogue with the Safety Commission. And you stated that the industry as a whole does not consider the ATO overruns as a safety issue. Unfortunately, it appears that our Safety Commission does, for whatever reason. I'm incredibly concerned that the Safety Commission is missing the forest for the trees, because as we all know, the greater safety risk is red signal overrun, which is happening on manual mode, and is virtually eliminated on ATO. So I sincerely hope that common sense will eventually prevail in this. But in the meantime, we have to start thinking about what happens if it doesn't. And so I guess as the finance chair, I need to ask the question, our budget for the upcoming fiscal year that starts in July assumes a savings based on ATO implementation across the system. And it's now mid-May, and it seems like the MSC is dug in. I'm not sure how we'll ever overcome that, again, short of perhaps a burst of common sense. But if that doesn't happen, what sort of steps is management prepared to take on the budget specifically to manage to that cost savings that will not materialize?
Yeah, thank you for the question, board member. So one, I think we all, and I know the board all knows this as well, but I think we have Metro have to reiterate, ATO is primarily a safety benefit. Then it's a reliability benefit, and then there's a cost efficiency benefit. But as finance chair, you asked the question specifically about the money part, and I go out of my way when I interact with the WOC. Quite frankly, money is not a conversation, right? Nor should it be. I mean, there is an opportunity cost. The more time we spend on something is time we can spend on making the overall system safer and better for the customers and the employees, but that's a different factor. On the budget itself, you may recall we estimated about a $7 million savings to be on ATO. We built all of our schedules around that. So now we'll probably, not only would $7 million not be obtained, we might have extra cost because the schedules that we build assume ATO, and we might have to then balance that out a little bit with some more overtime to make up for the difference. So we're going to calculate and analyze that. We unfortunately, we never really thought we'd be at this junction. So I think what we would have to do is, if we don't have automatic train operation approval by the start of the fiscal year, July 1st, we would probably come back to the board with a budget amendment, I would think, probably in July board meeting, potentially in June, though, because, if we don't think we're moving forward. And that I don't see any way around it that the jurisdictions wouldn't be responsible for the additional funding needed to run for the budget.
So in that case, then have we taken steps to notify the executives and appointing authorities, particularly for the WMSC, of the fact that we will have to potentially change the jurisdictional subsidy amounts based on the MSC's decision to not allow us to run a safer operation?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some conversations related to that, but again, what we're trying to do, at least I think on the staff level, is we are focused on the safety of the system and not trying to pretend that or in any way infer that the money should be the driving factor. But I do think it's important, as people are doing their budget planning, that if this safety issue is not resolved, then there could be a downstream financial impact to them. I'm still going to remain, I'm an optimist every day I wake up. So I'm optimistic that, we've acted in good faith. The data speaks for itself. We're following the industry standard. I deeply care about the safety of our staff and our customers. I mean, I signed a document that says I'm actually responsible for that. Our whole senior team is unanimous that we believe that ATO is incredibly, it's much safer than manual operation. So I will remain optimistic that this gets done. But to your point, and now that you've asked that question, staff will go put together the work needed to bring back to the board for board decision making.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Letourneau. Oh, Mr. McAndrew.
So just to confirm, in July, we're going to get something if we don't make progress with either an option that jurisdictions pay more for the inability to advance ATO or cut service, right? That's the two options we have.
Yeah, the service, I think, so we have to do a final check on this, but the service will be very difficult to put as an option because we don't have a Title VI analysis that could justify that. So we'd have to do, I believe, a whole new Title VI analysis to do service change, which would be more or less an entire new budget process around that. So we're kind of analyzing that, but I think if that is true, there really isn't a service cut without going through an entire budget process. Meaning because it's already been approved and the Title VI analysis happened. So it's.
Okay.
Yep.
Look forward to the discussion. I think at the end of the day, I mean, this is the risks that we have with the, we need our system to be safe. But when we're making assumptions on these budget changes, we need to be pretty certain that they're going to be there and realized. And that's just the challenge we face. And we need to have an open and transparent conversation with the public on what this means, because it's a cost to the jurisdictions as well if we can't realize what we're after. And it's not necessarily this team's fault necessarily, right? I think we're doing everything we can. But I think that the reality is that there's costs and impacts to everything that's being done here. And at a certain point in time, it's a tough one to rationalize in terms of more money or cutting service. And I think we have to have that open conversation because that's where we're heading, right?
Yeah, and again, that's not to say we couldn't cut the service. I just procedurally, I think we have to do additional work to bring back to the board the option to cut service versus in July, we would not be able to do that because we'd have to go do the analysis. So I think, we would probably come back to the June board to say, if we don't have movement in the next month and to move forward, then here are the options. Does the board want us to go do a Title VI analysis and look at the service cuts, or are we going to do the jurisdictional partner route? And I think, we need to spend a little time between planning, legal on that. And that's, I think, the conversation we bring back to the board for direction.
Thank you, Dr. Lowe. Yep.
I need one further point of clarification because giant alarm bells are going off in my head about a lot of what I'm hearing here. I watched the WMSC board meeting that happened earlier this week, and I did not hear any suggestion at that meeting that there's any concern about safety and ATO regarding customers. Metro is safe. The WMSC believes that Metro is safe for customers. It sounded to me like their concern was something fairly specific related to roadway worker protection, which is contractors or employees of Metro who may be in the railroad right-of-way doing work for whatever reason, perhaps also, while service is active, right, and while trains are moving. And that the danger is they perceive some potential danger to those workers. Is that correct? Did I miss something?
So, well, thanks for the question, board member. So that has been, that message has been transmitted to us. I'll say it this way. Our staff has worked at this point for 2.5 years with the WMSC, trying to be incredibly collaborative. And I think there's signs that we've been collaborative between the two organizations, and there's signs that that's not the case. And we're going to continue to try to be collaborative and fact-driven. On this RWP interface with ATO, there's clearly, in our mind, very significant confusion on the WMSC side about how RWP actually works at Metro. And it has been, we've spent thousands of hours at this point educating, so there's still a gap there. So let me just maybe say how RWP works for the board, and maybe that will, in a public venue, help alleviate that fear.
I do think that this needs to be a public conversation, and that this needs to be communicated because I'm seeing this misunderstanding about who could even maybe be in danger being propagated in the media.
Yeah, so let me explain how RWP, so road worker protection, now I'll just say RWP for short. We will not have employees, right, on track without control center giving them the authorization to be on track. So the only time in revenue service that we have people down there would be our normal inspection teams, our track, what we would call track inspection walkers, right? So the way they go down, they have a crew. They always have one person that is the lookout. 100%, there is one person's job to never be looking at the track, not doing that for the work. Their job is only the safety of the crew. So their job is to know when trains are in travel and to always be clear, and they're contacting back and forth with the control center to make sure they're never in harm's way. And so they'll go up on the catwalk, train would clear, they'll go back to do their work. Very standard in every railroad ever. That's how it works. Their work is agnostic to automatic train operation or manual operation. There is no scenario that if everyone is following the rules, that any employee would be anywhere near a platform and a train would go through the platform on automatic or manual and hit and strike our employees. So if there's a deeper issue the employees are investigating, they would get foul time, deeper foul time, and they would stop train travel. So if we had a concern, say a broken rail or a cable that was smoldering or something like that nature, we'll stop train travel. The crews would be down there. Control center is blocking train activity, and they still have a lookout. So at no point does it matter automatic train operation or manual that a crew doesn't have a lookout and the control center is controlling where people are and train operation. We are confused why that is.
Platform station overruns happen in both manual and ATO.
That is correct.
Our existing roadway worker protection protocols exist to prevent any risk to workers when that might happen. And those protocols apply in both manual and ATO.
Yes, correct. 100% agnostic to the mode of travel on a train. We have rules in place to protect our crews regardless of how the train is operating. We've explained this very detailed.
And the struggle here is to establish a shared set of facts with the WMSC about our roadway worker protection protocols and their sufficiency.
Yeah, and so, there should never, ever, we should never stop working to make RWP as safe as possible. And there's things that we're working on that, right? Training, compliance, they're humans. So we have a lot of radio traffic, clarity of radio, our upgraded radio system. We're never going to stop working on that. But I think what we find challenging is the conflation between RWP program and automatic train operation. And those two things are not connected at all.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Lowe. Randy, I have heard from a couple folks over the last couple of days once the word of this got out, and both made a very similar observation you did. You just did, Tracy. And they follow this. They follow our proceedings and the Safety Commission's proceedings pretty well, pretty closely, and had similar observations. So, and Joe, I think you made a good point. No one is making the connection with cost and service yet. They just are looking at it simply as a safety and reliability issue, and not understanding that next step if we can't come to some accommodation here. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
That's it. Okay. Next, we'll hear a report from Mr. Letourneau and the Finance and Capital Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The following item was referred to the board at this morning's Finance Capital Committee meeting. A, approval of amended joint development agreement for Tacoma. Staff sought approval to execute a second amended and restated joint development agreement for Tacoma Station reflecting the updated development plan. Metro proposes to sell the land fee simple with the requirement that the developer reconstruct the bus loop to reduce kiss and ride, a bus operator break room, and new bike facilities. Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Letourneau. We have a motion on the table. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Lowe. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, I'll ask the board corporate secretary to call the vote.
Alternate Director Worth.
Aye.
Vice Chair Smedberg.
Aye.
Vice Chair McAndrew.
Aye.
Director Klein.
Aye.
Director Haddon-Lowe.
Aye.
Director Letourneau.
Aye.
Director Drummer.
Aye.
Director Martin Proctor.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. We have two items on the board's consent agenda today. I'd like to move approval of the following. First, approval of the fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26 amended Virginia State Operating Funding Agreement. Staff requests approval of an amendment to modify the fiscal year 25 and 26 Virginia State Operating Funding Agreement to ensure consistency with the approved fiscal year 26 operating budget. And second, waiver of collection of parking fees at 5 metro stations. Staff requests approval of a resolution to temporarily waive the collection of rider and non-rider parking fees at 5 stations on the blue and green lines during summer improvement projects for a period not to exceed 6 months. I'd like to move approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Lowe. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The items are approved. Now we'll move on to the reports of the jurisdictions. District of Columbia, Dr. Lowe.
Nothing to report.
NVTC, I don't have anything, Mr. and Matt? No. WSTC, Mr. McAndrew.
A couple things. Today is National Bike to Work Day. This was discussed earlier. It's a big day. It's an important day to better connect folks to first last mile connections to our transit system. So Hope everybody got out there and pedaled a few strokes this morning.
And I can vouch for the fact that Mr. McAndrew is practicing what he's preaching.
Yes, yes. I've been an avid rider for some time and tried to get Sarah Klein to join me on rides many, many occasions, and it just over the years hasn't happened yet, but I'm dogged and I'll stick with it. We've had a couple efforts afoot, but I think the biggest one that I just want to highlight in the state of Maryland's perspective, this last week we had an event, Howard County and Montgomery County had an event to announce efforts to extend the Flash bus rapid service will come online in short order, but it's a great further effort afoot to better connect the region by transit. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Federal government, Ms. Klein.
Yes, thank you. I just want to note that the Federal Transit Administration yesterday released a notice accepting applications for $1.5 billion in bus facilities and bus purchases and low and no emission bus grants. They have repped a couple of programs together. This is a really exciting opportunity for transit agencies across the country. Metro actually successfully applied for one of these grants last year or the year before, recently, in the low and no emission bus facilities program. So that, you know, it's a really exciting time and could have a really great impact on transit around the country as well as in this area. Martin Proctor.
Yes, thank you, Director Klein. On behalf of the administration, we would like to congratulate all of our graduates. We think it is an amazing accomplishment that you have moved forward. You have done the work, and you are now graduates, and we look forward to seeing what you will do in this world, in this community, and especially in transportation. So congratulations to all of our graduates on behalf of the administration.
Thank you. With no further business to come before the board, we will stand adjourned. Thank you for joining us today. Now we'll move to board executive session. In accordance with the bylaws, I, Paul Smedberg, request that the board of directors convene an executive session to discuss the following matters pursuant to Article 2, paragraph 9, subsections A or B, budgetary matters that may affect legal positions, WMAA contract or sensitive relationship with local jurisdictions or the federal government, and C, personnel or labor issues, including discussion of labor contracts and labor negotiations, consideration or interviews of candidates for employment and the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, or resignation of individuals, and G, deposition of WMATA property or acquisition of real property for WMATA purposes where discussion in public would adversely affect WMATA's negotiating or bargaining position. H, development of WMATA position or strategy on pending or proposed federal or state legislation. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Lowe. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.